Alrighty, welcome to episode 176 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. The Albany 6-stall version 3 supercharger site is now officially open and available for all CCS compatible EVs to use. The Kojonup 4-stall version 3 supercharger site has been commissioned and is imminently about to be officially open and available for all CCS compatible EVs to use. Perth's 6-stall version 3 supercharger site in Kings Park has undergone preliminary preparations ahead of its construction and completion in April. A West Australian supercharger trifecta. It just doesn't get any better than that. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and welcome everyone to Ask Us Anything. And as is customary, even if just to get the pregnant pause, if you are new and you are comfortable in doing so, please unmute yourself and say hello.
Hi, G'day. This is Kieran. I've just
Welcome,
joined.
Kieran.
Thank you, Aaron. It's just good to be on board. Yeah, and it's just been 2 days since I joined the group, but yeah, I was just following the videos, quite informative, and I'm glad to see the feedback and comments that go through among the
Fantastic,
members.
Kieran. And I recall talking to you early this morning, so welcome to the show. Sorry, that was yesterday.
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
Welcome to the show. And Clark, I think you had your hand up, so welcome.
Yes, thank you, Harold. That's correct. I actually introduced myself 2 weeks ago, and then I couldn't make it to the drive last week, partly because I didn't have a car, but partly because I had something else on. But unexpectedly today, I had a bit of good news. The car that I've purchased in Adelaide was actually picked up by my son today. So I wasn't expecting it to happen until tomorrow or even next week. But he sent me photos and did a video call, and he's dropped it off for PPF and ceramic coating and tinting and everything already. So I'm that little bit closer to being a true Tesla owner.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Congratulations. That's very exciting. And obviously you've got a rather interesting one-way Nullarbor trip impending. And in
Yes,
fact,
I
we've
go
got
over in 4 weeks' time. I fly over and I pick it up. I have about a week or 10 days with my son, and then Matthew and I are driving back to Perth.
fantastic. And we've got a little bit of good and bad news about the Nullarbor, but we'll get to that shortly. Alrighty, let's go for is there anyone else that is new and would like to unmute and say hello? Perhaps later. Alrighty. So obviously it was time to break the location of the upcoming Perth Supercharger, which is at Kings Park. That's a site that was known of for a very long time, and it's really difficult to keep things quiet. But given that there's going to be construction literally next month, now was the time to say it. And for those that are interested, if we just go to share the screen, you'll see Google Maps here. You'll see this is all of Kings Park, and on this side down here near Zamia Cafe is where the WAV network is. The Tesla supercharger site is near the tennis courts. In fact, right where you see that parking symbol right there, that's basically where the superchargers will be placed. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 6-stall version 3 supercharger. So I guess knock yourselves out if you want to do a little visit every now and then over the next few weeks. Hopefully you'll be able to see firsthand it going into fruition. They basically have pegged out the area where the transformer's going and a few other minor works. So that's underway, and it will probably be delivered by the end of next month. So that'll be 3 superchargers delivered within a month, which is awesome. Oh, sorry, and the Kojonup supercharger site has been commissioned, and it's only waiting for Tesla to confirm that tarmac has been laid, the bitumen has been laid in the car park, which was planned to occur today, and given that's presuming that is correct, that's actually happened, Tesla will turn on, or is due to turn on, the superchargers tomorrow.
Before Easter, perfect.
Just before Easter. And again, they were actually intent on actually doing that for the Kojonup site and the Albany site, because as we'll all recall, sadly, the Albany site was messed around a bit, courtesy of Western Power, which that's going to be a good segue in a couple of minutes. But basically, so we got Albany up and running before Easter, and Kojonup is planned to be up and running tomorrow. So suffice to say, I'll be taking my caravan down to hopefully, if not charge, at least take a photo with the nice tarmac layout for Australia's only 4-way all caravan or trailer compatible supercharger site. And in fact, it's going to be a 6-way compatible if you add the WAV network, which is all in line. All the stalls are in line, perfectly positioned.
Absolutely brilliant.
Now, I guess since I did mention Western Power, we might as well get some of this stuff out of the way. If you go to tokwa.org.au and in the search bar you search for Ravensthorpe, you will find this article that was written on the 30th of November last year. And it quite rightly says that the Ravensthorpe WAV network installation was completed on the 9th of October. Now there's a handy little clock underneath that, which you can see it's ticking as we speak, and it's been 170 days since that site was fully installed, and all it's waiting for is for Western Power to install a transformer, for which there is apparently a missing part. So for want of a single simple part, Ravensthorpe has waited for 170 days. So what I appeal everyone in this room and everyone who is watching this on YouTube and or Twitter/X is, if you go to Twitter/X and look up Reese Whitby, he is at Reese Whitby, so you can see just here. What would be great is if you can please take a screenshot when you send your tweet of this timer, and then tweet at the Minister for Energy and Environment, who is now the sole minister effectively responsible for, let's call it the delivery, or at least the government's portion of the delivery of this entire project. And please include at Western Power to ask the minister to direct Western Power to get this thing done, because we're already going to miss 2 school holidays, that being the summer school holidays, and bearing in mind that Ravensthorpe is a vital link to Esperance. So we've already missed the peak time in Esperance, which is the summer holidays. We're going to miss these Easter holidays, and unless something is done, we are on track to miss the winter holidays, which is just outrageous, literally outrageous. So please, if you've got some time, don't do it all at once. Sort of maybe stagger yourself, set like maybe a Monday or a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever. Every few days, please take a screenshot of that counter and send a tweet or a message or a letter or an email to Reese Whitby asking him to get stuff done. And if that doesn't work, please include Roger Cook and ask Roger Cook to direct his minister, or sorry, ask Roger Cook to ask his minister to direct Western Power to just get it done. All right, that's that rant over. Since I'm on a roll, and sorry, we'll go to questions really soon, but we might as well just get a couple of things done.
That's right. I'll put my hand up for a mildly political rant in a bit as
Oh.
well, but let's do questions first.
Okay, actually, I'll tell you what, I might just have a little break because I've just got to rearrange a couple of things. Look, let's just go to some questions and then we'll get some more stuff about the Nullarbor and a different minister, that being a federal one.
That's that. He's on my rant as well, so it's good.
Oh, look,
I
let's
actually
just.
I have a question.
Yes,
If it's okay.
go, Paul.
On my wife's Model Y, underneath, where the windscreen wipers are, the brackets that connect it, there's like slight corrosion on the outside, like the aluminium connections and that sort of thing. And I compared it to mine, which is, 4.5 years older than hers, and mine looked fine. And so she's booked in for Tesla. And they're sort of blaming her going through a car wash or something like that, which I think is ridiculous because her car's like a year and a bit old. And I was just wondering if anyone else has seen that on their Model Ys.
My car's a year old. I haven't looked.
Your third car or something.
I can't see the wiper corrosion for the cowl panel damage, but has anyone? Maybe we should all have a look and report back next week. So are you saying it's where the arm connects to the pivot, or is it?
So it's not the windscreen wiper itself, but underneath that, where the water sort of channels underneath and then goes down into the front area, not the front itself, but underneath. If you pull out the front, you'd see where it connects to the top where the windscreen is. And she's actually missing like a little seal for the windscreen wiper.
So to see it, can you just see it from the outside, or do you have to lift your bonnet open?
You pop the bonnet open and it's right near the A pillar. But as you connect in there and then underneath there, and you can clearly see that. Mine, I thought, maybe mine would look a bit crap. But then when I had a look, it was like, mine's almost pristine in comparison. And I've done way more car washes and stuff like that. I've got to that stage of that, fuck it, just go through a car wash. Oh, sorry. Go through a car wash where she is very particular about her car. She hasn't even supercharged her car. It's all AC and she looks after it and all that. So I just thought it's the usual thing at Tesla service. Oh no, it's your fault and that stuff. And it's like, well, no, but she wants to sort it out, so she's going to sort it out. But I just thought, I'd ask. But if no one's had anything, then at least
I'll look, but I'm a bit busy right now. But yeah, I'll look and report back next week.
Stop the show. Stop the show.
Yeah, stop the show.
That's right. Everyone run outside and look at your.
We'll hit pause and oh man, that just reminds me.
Your torch on your phone and.
Exactly.
It's all good.
We'll take a look.
Alrighty, Michael, you've got your hand up.
Hi everyone. Just want to ask a quick question. I did ask in the Discord, but I didn't get an answer. Has anyone parked their car at the airport for about 2 weeks, or what do you think about that? Will the battery run out? That's my main concern.
Perfectly fine. What you should do is turn off Sentry mode. So if you turn off Sentry mode, then your battery will last quite a long time. And if you should forget to turn off Sentry mode, your battery will run down to 20% and then stop running down any further. So how old's your car, Michael?
It was in the second batch of Model Y, so in November.
It'll be fine. So it's got a lithium ion 12-volt battery, so that'll be fine. But yeah, do try and remember to turn off Sentry mode.
And what about like closing your app and that? I've seen people say that you've got to close your app, log out.
Oh no, I don't think so. Just don't open your app, willy-nilly. But it's perfectly okay to have a look at your car every now and then if you're curious about its state of charge. But don't do it incessantly. I think that's about it. Oh, look, maybe if you log out of
protection.
Pardon?
Oh yes, so set cabin overheat protect. Well, actually, you can just turn it off because you've got nothing to protect, as in lives. in the car, so you can just turn it to off. Or if you're concerned, well, we're not going to have really hot weather anyway, but if you're concerned about the interior temperature, you could set it to fan only.
Okay.
And see how you go. And if you're concerned that the battery is depleting a fair bit, then you could just turn it off.
Okay. Thank you.
And you can do that via the app, of course. No worries.
Thanks.
Alrighty, let's go for another couple of questions, and then we might just do another couple of little info bits interspersed with some rants. Well
Just to
earned
follow
rants.
up on that, Carl. I mean, you lose about 1% a day, they reckon, if you haven't got everything on. So if you're away for 100 days, you've got a problem.
But 2 weeks is only 14, so it'll be fine. Yep, it's all good.
Yep.
All right. Anyone got a question or comment before we get into some ranty stuff? Let's go.
Let's do the ranty stuff.
I've got a couple of, and we're not going to go the obvious because I know what Ken's thinking, but he's not thinking what I'm thinking, which is probably just as well, actually. There is a Honourable Chris Bowen, and I'm not going to claim that politicians don't always tell the truth, but back on the 12th of March, there is a media statement saying fast charging EV stations ready to connect NT regions. And in it, it says that chargers in Katherine, Tennant Creek and Alice Springs are launching this week, part of a blah, 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 NRMA, blah. Well, the bad news is that as of today, not one of those charging stations is actually available to use. So thankfully, no one from Perth went, oh, goody, let's go for a little trip and have a suss. So, you know, shame on you, Minister, taking the photo opportunity while you're up in Darwin for a cabinet meeting to claim something that's not true. Your statement says Katherine, Tennant Creek and Alice Springs are launching this week. Yeah, they might be launching as being under construction, but they're not ready. And you basically said they were ready, and that's just not cool.
If we had one EV charger for every announcement, we'd be swamped with chargers in Australia. Just one for each announcement.
Exactly. Now, there was a second statement made on the 20th of March, fast charging network to bolster EV travel across regional South Australia. And in it, he says that, and this actually is true, chargers in Berry and Nuriupta are now open. Now, the great news for us is with additional chargers at the Nullarbor Roadhouse opening soon. Now, that is really exciting. So the Nullarbor Roadhouse, notwithstanding some other bits of news we're going to have in a moment, that really is the final gap that wasn't going to be closed until NRMA were going to put a charger in, and we didn't know when that was. Well, it sounds like that's going to be soon. And for me as a normal EV owner, I would take soon as to be within the next 4 weeks. Because if it's not 4 weeks, it's not soon. So it's all but certain that it'll be the same setup because it mentions additional charges. It should be the same as Eldunda, which is the transportable, prefabricated sort of origami solar panel battery storage generator system. So that's awesome news for the Nullarbor Roadhouse. In less good news, if we go, and this actually pertains to quite a few people crossing the Nullarbor now, is that if we go to PlugShare and zoom across the Nullarbor, you'll notice that Mundrabilla no longer has a DC charger orange pin because I removed that pin yesterday. What's happened is the DC fast charge has been taken away as it was tripping the power supply. 3-phase plug can be used. Now, this person, Daryl Tate, says, but he can only get one phase to work and stabilize, so 7 kilowatts max. I think he might be mistaken. I think he might have been using one of the single phase tails for the UMC because a Mark S has claimed 11 kilowatts. and that's probably because Mark is using a Cons 3-phase EVSE. And then Steve 1 is probably again just using a tail. So Mundribilla has gone backwards a little bit, and then Majura Pass, which also has a Delta 3-phase Delta slow DC charger. That the last comment on that one was that they were basically on their lower power generator, so they weren't able to use the 22 kilowatt slow DC charger because it would have tripped the smaller generator. Because some of these roadhouses, if they have one of the big generators that's either broken down or needing maintenance, or sometimes the whole place hasn't got that much load that is needed to be supplied, they will switch over to a smaller generator. And of course, if you then suddenly bring on 22 kilowatts of demand, it can trip the generator. So I would class Mundribilla there's no DC charging there. So in other words, you need an AC adapter of some sort. And at Majura Pass, I would class that as potentially in a similar situation. So unfortunately, just before the WAV network gets installed, it looks like some of these locations are going to get a bit wobbly. And some of the commentary that was made at the sites was, yeah, well, the WAV network is coming soon. So, we might get into this weird situation of it gets a bit harder for a little while before it gets super easy. But it is what it is. Alrighty. Now, I think, Ken, what you were going to talk about is if we cruise slowly up the media releases.
Go back to the 2023, 26th of April. When the
26th of April
2023. When
okay. That's going to be
you might need to go back a long way of his media releases.
Okay, we're getting there. July. Okay, we're getting there. Let's go 13. Lucky 13. Oh, April. Which date?
Yeah.
Sorry.
26 April. Electric vehicle charging network to connect. I can send you the link.
We were just on 12. It'll be at the bottom of this page. There we go.
There it is.
Electric vehicle charging network to connect all of Australia.
We all remember this announcement from nearly a year ago, and it includes, of course, many of the sites you've just been talking about, including a big list down the very bottom. Of particular relevance to my little rant is for those of us that routinely drive north. Currently, most of us will go Indian Ocean Drive and go via the Jurien EV-WA charger and then through to Geraldton. The downside of that, as of about 2 weeks from now, is that Main Roads have announced they're closing Indian Ocean Drive between Lehman and the Brand Highway intersection for about 7 months to do some significant roadworks on that major arterial route. I've got a link I can paste. I'll paste it into the chat so you can pull it up, Harold.
Yeah, cool.
Which is the Main Roads announcement. But basically the guts of it is Indian Ocean Drive is going to be closed between basically Koolimba and there you go, that's the magic. So if you scroll down to the project.
Yeah, sorry.
Did I just?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I've just
that map is the important one. So basically, right now if you just below there is Jurien Bay, and obviously if you're driving through to Geraldton at the moment, we've now got a 30 to 40 kilometer detour, which will obviously also be quite slow. On the minister's announcement from almost a year ago.
Yes, it had. Oh, Ken, you're muted. No, you're muted. Yeah, there you go.
Yep, there we go.
On the announcement, it had
my laptop now. So basically, the minister announced that there would be charges in Eneabba and Cataby near the bottom of that list. which are both on the Brand Highway. And if those chargers were installed by now, this would be not in any way a problem because you would just drive Brand Highway, which takes just about as long to get to Geraldton up Brand Highway as it does up Indian Ocean Drive. At the moment, however, those chargers don't exist. So your only choice is to drive Jurien and then take the detour and charge probably for about another 10% to cover that extra 30 Ks and then make it to Geraldton. So it wouldn't hurt to send the minister a little bit of a follow-up on that one as well, quoting the Main Roads article. From my humble opinion, we could, if nothing else, if they could fast-track some of the charges at Eneabba and Cataby, that would make that drive north significantly simpler for the remainder of 2024, basically.
And that's 7 months, you say, Ken? That's
7 months. The Main Roads announcement says from Wednesday, 17th of April, Eneabba to Brand Highway will be temporarily closed until November.
Yeah.
All road users will be detoured via Eneabba Kalimba Road to the Brand Highway. They're estimating it's only an extra 20 minutes, but I'd be very surprised if it was that small because it'll be busy. And that road, having driven it before, is not a fantastic road. If it were me, I'd actually probably take the road just north of Jurien and cut across there rather than, Jurien Road is a better road.
Yeah.
And
that
then go
probably
north.
makes more sense. Yeah.
Having had to take that road one time when there were bushfires south of Jurien at Lancelin, I've charged at Jurien and then backtracked up Jurien Road and then down Brand Highway. But of course, that's the bushfires I can live with because that's a unforeseeable event. But this one hasn't come as a surprise. We knew this 7-month closure was coming for quite some time. It's been planned for about 6 months.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing was, like you said, back last year, when the announcement was made, it's great to make announcements, and sometimes it's even great to make announcements of stuff that's ready when it's not even ready. But there weren't that many black spots. There weren't that many places where the NRMA was going to be different to the WAEV network. And obviously Cataby and Eneabba are two distinctly advantageous places that should have just been done, because we don't care when they put another charger at Jurien Bay. We don't care when they put another charger at Geraldton or Carnarvon or Karratha or anywhere that the WAV network is.
Right.
It's
there is a
irrelevant.
lot of duplication, yeah.
Yeah, so in fact, in WA, the only places where there's no duplication is Willair, which is great because it avoids you wasting 80 kilometres going the dogleg to Derby. And as you say, Ken, the Cataby and Eneabba, which would be awesome.
As far as I understand, none of the Western Australian chargers on that announcement have been built.
Nope, that's correct. That's correct. And there's been no ministerial announcements about anything like that at all. So actually you're a dark horse, Ken, because I thought you were going to do a rant about something else. So that just means that we get to do probably 4 rants if I got the count right. So if we go back to
just with that, what we're talking about, was that an arena grant?
No, this was a separate budgetary allocation for EV chargers.
If it was,
basically, it's a project to basically go Highway 1 all the way around the country.
Yeah, normally with these federal things, they normally have the contact person for the project. So sometimes you can just contact that person.
Is the person now, what the government's effectively done is they've wiped their hands of it. They've sent $39 million to the NRMA, who, make no mistake, are using these chargers as promotional billboards. And with the way that they're doing the project, it doesn't sound like they've got their heart in it. They're just literally just taking the money and making billboards. But anyway, this is the map. And the only one that was useful to us was Willair, which is about here. Sorry, no, it's closer. It's this one here. That's Willair. Sorry, I'll do that one more time. That one, that's Willair there, and that saves you the, like I said, 80k Derby dogleg, and then these two here, which are Eneabba and Cataby. All of the rest is literally a duplication, and and yeah, it's anyway. I better just stop talking about it because it's just going to get ugly. Now there is something else we need to criticise the minister for, and that was the joint media release announcing a new vehicle efficiency standard tailored for Toyota. Oh, sorry, I mean Australia.
Yeah. And your AMG wagon.
And it goes without saying it's kind of a bit outrageous. You know, Tesla left the lying FCAI because Toyota was acting as the puppet master, and it skillfully got Australia to play its tune. So rather than Australia being sort of introducing world's best practice as far as vehicle emission standards and efficiency standards go, I think as one of the Tesla executives, Australian Tesla executives said, now they're kind of in the middle of the pack. And I'm sure Toyota loves it just like that. And you've got these, I almost said the W word, you've got these car companies that claim that, oh, woe is us, it's going to be so difficult, because they've actually delayed it by 6 months as well. So this won't be introduced until July next year. And they're sort of claiming that, or even then, they're going to struggle to actually cope with supplying Australia with the same standard vehicles that it has to supply the rest of the world.
If
It's
anything,
just outrageous.
if anything, it should be easier for them because there's less variability. But yeah, under that carve out, the Prado, the Land Cruiser, is apparently classed as a light. What's the wording? Is it
Commercial
light
vehicle?
Yeah.
Does that mean it's exempt from LCT? And please tell me it's not, because that would be even more outrageous, because that actually amounts to a subsidy.
Yeah. No, let's hope not. Surely
The problem with legislation is it all gets down to what the definition is. Often the definition of a vehicle that's subject to luxury car tax is it has to be a car. Now, if it's a commercial vehicle, it's not subject to luxury car tax. And possibly if it's a light commercial vehicle, it also might not be subject to luxury car tax. And the thing about laws is they never get changed. So the unintended consequence, which could have actually been rather intended, because not only does it go from we're not going to make you be more efficient, we're actually going to give you a subsidy because we're going to exempt you from luxury car tax on your $150,000 Land Cruiser Sahara because you deserve it.
That would just be total insanity. Surely not. Surely not.
Yes, here's hoping that definition is only for the purposes of this act rather than just a general redefinition. That would be my reading, but I'm not a law expert.
I think the problem is if you define it as something in law, then that's you've actually redefined what that vehicle is, and that definition anyway. Well, alrighty, it's going to be a fiery night tonight. It's a shame we've only got 2 hours.
So there was a question that snuck in while we were ranting about Tesla O'Connor. Do we know where that's at?
It's looking awesome. I actually took some drone shots of it the other day.
Cool.
There is an army. There is an army of ants workers working on it. Like, I think there were probably 60 people at least. Like, there were probably 20 cars, more than 20, probably 30 cars. They've actually, I'll see if I can actually get some of these drone shots.
So for those that don't know what we're talking about, Tesla some time ago acquired another site south of the river in O'Connor as a delivery and service center, as far as we understand it.
Everything, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they've been renovating the building for some time.
It's going to be showrooms, going to be body shop and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind
of hoping it opens soonish.
I'll just very quickly, look, we don't know the timeline because as much as they're working intensely on it, stuff takes time, but they're not messing around. This is not a Bob the Builder small team. Like I said, they're spending some serious bucks with some serious labor getting this done. So I would guess it'd be done before winter. for sure. Like maybe another 2 or 3 months, because a lot of progress has been made, and hopefully, if my OneDrive is working properly, it will have gone from my phone. Let's have a quick squeeze. Actually, while I'm doing that, has anyone else got a question or a comment thus far? Anyone?
Oh,
Say something.
buy some shares. Buy
So
some
the
shares,
share,
but
go on. So
that's not.
ask us about the share price.
I was just going to say it's not financial advice, but the share price is shit again, which is good, but not financial advice. I'll just check what it is at the moment.
Are you suggesting, Paul, it's time to go
179,
shopping?
36. Oh, I've been shopping for a while now.
This is
BYD released it. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
This is
Okay.
one photo. So that's the north western end. So Carrington Street is basically behind us. We're looking away from Carrington Street, and this is the side. So this building here was actually a cold storage building. So it's well insulated. And I'll just see if I can get the next images up. And this is showing the back. This was a zigzag sort of, I think it was all asbestos clad commercial sort of area. So it looks like these things here are a whole lot of pavers. So I guess they're going to pave this driveway and probably use the back as their delivery section and probably vehicle storage and preparation. And then in this big cold store building, they'll be putting the service section. And then if I get the final image, if I can find it, they'll have a double story front section. 2 seconds. Oh, it'll come in a sec. But basically you've got awesome showroom. The showroom is double height, and it's not just double height like it was, or like it is in Osborne Park. It's even higher than that. You can't actually see inside it. Unfortunately, there were far too many reflections, and I couldn't put a set of polarized sunnies on my drone. But it's full double height frontage across the whole front. And that's just some of the vehicles that were working on it. So Carrington Street is probably going to be Australia's biggest Tesla presence as one thing, because the whole block of land is 19,000 square meters. So the great thing there is that Tesla will now have 2 locations. It'll certainly have the Osborne Park showroom. They may retain the delivery centre in King Edward Road, and they'll certainly have a delivery centre, service centre, and showroom, and probably headquarters in Carrington Street.
Sorry, Harold, I missed that. Did you say that they will retain the Osborne Park showroom?
I believe so at this stage. And I imagine the main reason for that, apart from the fact that I think in future it doesn't matter what they build, they'll need to build more of it. You've also got things like commercial leases with, most leases are usually 5 year, 5 with several 5-year options, or depending, I don't know. So I guess it doesn't make sense for Tesla to certainly break a lease unnecessarily. And it probably is pretty good to have 2 sales presences at least anyway.
I was about to say, for those minority of us that live north of the river, be nice to have something up here still.
Exactly. And I think, look, it makes sense for Tesla to have a presence north and south, and and they'll probably even retain a service presence as well in Osborne Park for the minor stuff, and then most of the big stuff can go down to Carrington Street.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that might be nice is a slightly nicer delivery centre north of the river than the King Edward Road location, but it's it is what it is.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, look, it's certainly better than I think Richard Cooper experienced, which was his car being taken off the back of a flatbed only, some minutes later for it to return to a different flatbed because he binned it into a corner and ruptured a tyre, which I'm sure was the car's fault.
You shouldn't name and shame driving like
Well,
that.
legends are made, Harold.
Look, the only way to make omelettes is you got to break some eggs. So, you know.
Can I just sneak in? Speaking of new deliveries, the 2024 Model 3 is an awesome car. I'm blown away. I rarely say I'm blown away by new cars, because new cars are mostly just new cars. You know, they're kind of nice and okay, and they're small progressions from before. But the new Model 3 is really surprised me. It's a quantum leap better than anything else I've driven from Tesla.
That's fantastic.
There's my short review.
Now, what was your biggest problem? It was starting autopilot, isn't it, from the button? That's a bit weird to get used to.
It's just understanding that the icon of autopilot is not what you press, but the scroll wheel. So on the new car, if you haven't driven a 2024 without stalks, the right-hand scroll wheel is always autopilot now. You can't reconfigure it to be anything else. So you use the right-hand scroll wheel to start auto steer and full self-drive. And
is that a click to the right, Ken, or is that just press in?
Push it, and then scrolling up and down does the same behavior as most of the default behavior, which is setting the speed, but it becomes the tap button to start and stop auto steer and cruise control. So you can only reassign the left scroll wheel. So the right scroll wheel is always auto steer, autopilot. And of course you can, as you have been able to for a while, change it to single click, but of course I prefer to leave it as one click for cruise control, second click for auto steer, but that's personal preference. And the indicators don't bother me at all. It works fine. You know, you know, now I have for the moment triple muscle memory, where I have the Model S with 3 stalks and the Model Y with 2 stalks and the Model 3 with 0 stalks. And you do auto steer and indicating and flashing the lights a different way, and washing the windscreen a different way on each car. And but human brain's an amazingly malleable thing. You don't even notice after a while. I do occasionally still reach this hand for the autopilot control, and it's just not there. But you know,
What do you press for voice commands?
There's a separate button for it.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not sure. I haven't tried whether press and hold.
Separate button for it.
Oh no, there is a separate button. Yeah, there's a separate mic button, little tactile button next to the wheel.
Ken, how long have you had your 3 Fresh for?
2 weeks now.
2 weeks.
Right now, it's in Geraldton and I'm in Perth. But it drove to Gerro, no sweat.
But you've got full self-driving, can't you just summon it?
Well, you're at the risk of mentioning something that is a slight grumble, which of course is Smart Summon doesn't work, even though I have full self-drive on that car, because hardware 4, yay.
Doesn't work on hardware 3 either, so don't sweat it.
Still works on my Model S.
Just got to wait for us.
Yeah.
Ken, one thing that I found a little bit annoying is the scroll wheel is hard enough to press once, and pressing it, double clicking that right scroll wheel to enable autopilot. I found a few times I'd double click it and I'd only put it into cruise control. It wouldn't take the second click, or it wouldn't take it all. That happened to me quite a few times. Have you found
I haven't noticed that, but you and Bjorn Nyland have both whinged about that. He had the same issue with the 2024 Model 3 he reviewed. Maybe I don't know whether you have to be a little bit more spaced out in the clicks, but I haven't noticed it being a problem. Maybe that's just me. But yeah, maybe that's Bjorn's solution is Sexy Buttons Commander.
Yes, and with sexy stalks, which will come out, no doubt. There's so many sexy references. Now, speaking of something that's really interesting, and it pertains to the Model 3, actually. Well, it pertains to new cars, not so much NFSD, not so much to us, but it's a portent of things to come. And that is that Elon Musk sent out an email to everyone in Tesla. So a shout out to the Perth Tesla guys. I'm sure you got it too. And that was, going forward, it's mandatory in North America to install and activate FSD version 12.3 and take customers on a short test ride before handing over the car.
Well,
And then
that's sort of it wouldn't be the rep or the Tesla advisor taking customers for a test drive. It'd be the car doing it. I'm sure that's the whole purpose of it.
Yes, and it's to demonstrate to everyone. And the thing is, even in Perth, look, I've met people that didn't even have autopilot enabled in their car. In other words, because to actually be able to select it, so whether it's a Highland and you double press the scroll wheel, or it's a Model Y where you double tap the right hand stalk, or in other cars, there are some people that to actually be able to do that, you have to go into your menu, into the autopilot menu, and actually turn autopilot on as being usable. And you've got to also acknowledge that the safety statements, that you've got to pay attention, all that sort of stuff. So I've met people that have never used autopilot. So I guess it's also plausible that there will be people that just aren't aware of full self-driving. And when you see the videos coming out of the States, it is quite amazing. And to think, and again, none of us are neural network experts, but this thing was trained. This thing wasn't told how to drive. This hasn't got a list of instructions or C++ code saying, if car here, then that, da 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 da. They literally just fed the neural network training computers with just a whole lot of video footage of a Tesla being driven on a road, and it just observes what happens, and it just infers, and its neurons just get manipulated with all these weights and magical stuff. And like they say, it's a classic black box. Not even the people training it actually understand what's going on. All they know is when you configure it in a certain way, the magic just happens after expending a lot of clock cycles and training data. And this thing just infers what to do. And it's freaky, and none of us can understand it because nothing that we see on autopilot touches what they've got in America. But it's a very bullish thing that Elon Musk, look, I dare say practically, one thing I can see straight away is, well, everyone knows the car's cameras need to be calibrated for at least 10, 15 Ks, depending if you're lucky. But what they might actually do is just resort to having loan cars, like they'll just have a fleet car that they say, we're going to take you in this fleet car before we hand over your awesome car, because that's going to be a lot simpler. It's for whatever reason, if something weird happens, it'll be Tesla's car and not yours that you get to first experience FSD in. And I think that just makes sense. But it's going to be great. And what it means is Tesla is gearing up for this to be a serious thing. Finally.
I like the one where it's driving along and there's a puddle and it just drives around the puddle. And I said, shit, it's never done that before.
The thing is, these are the things that
do.
Yeah, exactly. And there's lots of videos where it does really interesting things. It actually overtakes a car. I think there was a bus in one lane, so it overtakes it and then doesn't cut it off, but it goes around it, sort of thing. And it does stuff that you get that uncanny valley of, wow, this, if my eyes were, well, not eyes were closed, but if I didn't know, if I was in the passenger seat, I wouldn't have known whether that was the driver doing it or the car. You know, it's just freaky, which is good because that's what we want. We want this aha moment. And speaking of which, that, you know, that would be a good impetus for the share price, which at the moment, many people, not financial advice, but many people would take as a buying opportunity. You know, anyway, alrighty, we got any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I've got a comment on that.
Yes,
Sandy
Richard.
Munro was saying, or one of the guys was saying, they're going to struggle unless it's got cameras forward of the A pillar for when you're turning left and right, because we lean forward and look. Well, these cameras are actually behind us, so they need a more forward left and right looking camera to make it so it doesn't have to creep out so far, which I thought was interesting. So our current hardware may struggle a little bit.
Yeah, the car does apparently in a lot of the videos, it does actually creep a little bit forward to get a slightly better view, but you probably don't need as much a better view than you think, than we sort of, us humans, because don't forget also, if you're turning, you've got to deal with the B pillar, and sometimes that's not ideal. So sometimes you'll have to actually go on more of an angle or move forward a bit more, not so much to be further in the middle of the road, but just to get various bits of your car out of your line of sight so you can see the other cars properly. So
Yeah, time will tell.
like I said, the thing that worries me the most still, and again, this is just a personal opinion, is my biggest bugbear is if you don't have ultrasonics, you need to have a front bumper camera. And that's the one that, as a share investor, worries me the most, because it's only a matter of when, tragically, a Tesla runs over a toddler and the coroner finds that that could have been alleviated by either ultrasonics or a front camera.
Yep.
So please, if you have little children, or if you are a grandparent and you're in a non-ultrasonic car without sensors, and you're coming out of a frontwards, going out of a garage, please check what's in front of the roller door, because the car will not remember what was there, because it doesn't know. And there's no ultrasonics, and your cameras will not see the object. But anyway, that's the only issue. The rest is awesome. Alrighty. Any other questions or comments? I guess everyone's helped me so well. It's good job, everyone. What we've got here is, this is a great advertising, free advertising of what's going to be the world's most popular ute, towing what is now the world's most popular car. And I mean, what a fantastic billboard that is, a 3D billboard lit up and powered through battery power. That is just awesome. And actually that reminds me that in May we are planning, because obviously the Kogenup supercharger will be open hopefully tomorrow. And it'll have 4 stalls that are caravan/trailer compatible, and we'll have the WAV network open by then, which will have another 2 stalls, well, 2 nozzles that again are caravan and trailer compatible. What we need to do is get a convoy of cars all towing different things. So I think one of the things we need to tow is a horse float, because that pays homage to horses, and that was one of the basic forms of transport.
Yeah.
Then it makes sense to tow a horseless carriage. So that would be a petrol vehicle. Then it would make sense, because the horse might be hungry, to tow something like a box trailer with those really big round bales of hay, because it's always good to bring your horse some hay. And then you'd want to, of course, tow a caravan. And look, what Aussie doesn't like to tow their boat? So then we need to be towing a boat. And I haven't really done a running tally, but I think that's 5.
That's
And there's
And a tradie trailer. Gotta have a tradie trailer.
Oh yeah.
80 trailer, or a jet ski, something like that. Maybe like a tradie type. Yep.
Right. What date?
Um, Sorry, say again, Richard.
What date we doing it? Come on.
Oh,
So
look,
I've got one more for you. You need a box trailer with a miniature starship on it, because you've got to look to the future.
it'll be a weekend in May, so there's only probably 4 of those. Look, without sort of it, let's call it. Oh, like, yeah, okay. Let's call it maybe if we're just penciling in a date, like nothing, it's not fixed. This could be probably discussed, but maybe something like Saturday, the 11th, which is a day before Mother's Day, and if that's not good, maybe the 18th or the 19th, something like that, of May. But never mind, we'll be discussing that further on subsequent episodes of Ask Us Anything. But like I said, we want a horse, a horse's carriage, a boat, a bale of hay, big one, a caravan, and yeah, a tradies thing and whatever. And look, it doesn't have to be limited to 6 vehicles. We can have more, and we can kind of rotate some of them. And obviously, we'll stick a drone up and get some awesome drone footage, and tout it as Australia's best fast DC charging site ever. So there you go. Maybe we might even. Could we get no, I don't know if we can get a truck towing something. We might be able to borrow a certain Mighty EV and have it's a Hyundai Mighty EV. And
put the leaf on the back of it.
Don't worry, Paul, we're trying hard. The leaf is heavy. That discussion's been had. The leaf is
take
heavy.
the battery pack out of the leaf.
But actually, to be honest, as useful as it would be to take the wee out of a leaf, it's much better to tow something like an old Troopy or an old ice car. That's much more satisfying. Especially since we'll be towing a horse, or at least a horse float.
Can I make a request that we do it on Sunday the 5th of May? If not, that's okay.
Without
a Sunday's bad?
It's bad for me personally, because I won't be back until then.
Oh.
Just saying. So yeah.
It's only because my mum's going to be in town. It'd be great to bring her, but that's all right.
Well, you could always do a preview. You know?
True.
Just tow something. I mean, I know you're hot keen to be towing stuff, Richard. So you could give her a go in a caravan or something.
Sunday,
but anyway,
Sunday the 12th of May, Mother's Day.
Yeah, sure, I'll go.
I did not set that up.
Well, you could do it on the 11th and be a Mother's Day Eve reward. Alrighty. Now I've run out of any content. Has anyone going to save me and ask a question or comment?
I'll ask a question.
Hi, Michelle. How are you going?
Hi, good, thanks. So I've had my car for just over 12 months now. Bought it secondhand, and I just have to say I got a letter from the dealer the other day saying it's time to bring your car in for a service, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, exactly. But then I started to think, should I take my car anywhere and get things checked at some point?
The only thing that Tesla has on their books as being something that can be done is to get the brake fluid moisture checked. And to be honest, after a year, you said secondhand. How many cases has it done, Michelle?
Oh shit, I don't know now. I do quite a few. So
on your app, you can whip your phone out and you can have a look. And while you're doing that, the only other thing is a recommendation is, and to be honest, you only have to do this when it becomes a problem for you, is to change the internal cabin aircon filter. But
okay,
if your aircon's not sort of smelling whiffy or anything,
I've noticed a lot more water coming out underneath from the air conditioner.
Just humidity. It's just the humidity. That's all it is. Okay. It's just ripping it's just what cold things do in humid conditions. So that's totally normal. But like, for example, if your air conditioner isn't sort of smelling at all musty or whatever, then you can just leave it for the time being. Like I said, if you really want to knock yourself out, you can go and get your brake fluid moisture tested. Tesla does that for, I think, Pete, was it $24 or something? Was it something like that?
Yes, grand total of $24. Spot on.
Oh, okay.
But I guess that would necessitate a trip up to Perth, but you could sort of come inside.
What a damn shame.
Yeah, that's right. You'd have to just drive a bit more in your awesome car. Exactly.
That's right.
There's more superchargers too.
Yes. Oh, no, but Michelle's you're in Denmark, aren't you, Michelle? Or near Denmark?
Peaceful Bay, Walpole.
Yes. Oh, Walpole. Perfect. So, yeah.
Yeah, 45,000 Ks.
More
yeah,
important
look-
might be to check the tyres. Tyres are the thing that, particularly inside edges, front and rear, I think tyres are probably the big thing to check.
Yeah, I've just put new tyres on it. I actually
Oh, well,
changed
that's-
wheels because I
done
had
then.
really wide wheels on it. And I
Yeah,
didn't
well,
really
that
like them.
takes that out.
Yeah, so
The
it's
tyre
all good.
is the other one that is often overlooked. Tyre pressures should always be monitored. At least you can do a dash, but should
Yeah.
be checked.
Cool. Okay, and so KK, is it Kim or probably
Kieran.
off?
Kieran.
Kieran, sorry about that. Yes, you got your hand up. Go.
That's okay. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I just noticed I took my car delivery in September, Model 3, and then lately I've been noticing that it's veering to the right slightly, which it never happened. And well, in between when I parked my car in a park, in one of the national parks up north, someone who parked next to me didn't bother parking properly, and he ran into my two panels on the right hand side. And the car was just 2 months old, so it was 2 weeks away. And I know these things I'm noticing just after it has come from a panel beater. I'm not too sure whether definitely wheel alignment is on my mind because it's veering to the right.
Yeah, it'll be wheel alignment for sure. And I would have thought a panel beater would have gotten the wheel alignment done, but maybe that's not their thing. So I would go and get your wheel alignment checked, because if it is pulling, it probably also means that it's probably going to excessively wear at least one of your tires. So yeah, just get the wheel alignment checked.
And will that be done at the Tesla Center, or should I just request a service? Or can that be done at?
You can. Tesla does do wheel alignment. They're not the cheapest in town, and there are other places such as any of the reputable tire places that can do wheel alignments for Teslas.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I mean, obviously, you could just ring them up and get a quote. At least you can ring the non-Tesla places.
Yeah, I mean, yep.
Yeah. Actually, I think there is a phone number for the Tesla service center, although what its number is escapes me right this minute. But I think there is actually. Or what you could do is actually, in your car, it actually has Tesla's. Well, there's roadside, but you can actually, when you ring that number, you just press whatever it is, number 3 or 2 for service, and someone over east will answer, and you can just ask them how much is a wheel alignment.
Okay.
And if you're happy with the price, then you can just go into your app, your Tesla app, and then just book a wheel alignment.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you.
Which I think is under wheels and tires or something like that.
All right.
Yeah, or suspension or something like that.
Okay.
Generally speaking, Tesla are very reasonable with their wheels and tires. A tire rotation is about $60, and that's pretty much, you'd probably pay a little bit more at Tire Power or Bob Jane or one of those other chains.
Thank you, Pete. I think it's done around 9,000 Ks so far. It's been a lovely ride so far, but bummer that someone actually banged into it when I was parked. And thanks to the dash cams, I was able to actually pull up the bloke, because the bloke who nicked off, he literally nicked off, and then he didn't come back to declare his hand, and I had to pull him up. That dash cam thing is phenomenal. Yeah.
Excellent. If you're at 9,000 kilometers, Tesla recommends a tire rotation every 10,000 kilometers, so you're probably due for
just in time. Yep. Thank you, Pete.
I just posted the 1-800 number for service in chat. 1-800-646-952.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah, just say it again slowly, Ken, for YouTube.
1-800-646-952 is the Australian number.
Perfect.
Or you can email csau@tesla.com.
Very good.
I've got a question.
Yes, Paul.
Good evening, everybody. I spotted a video a little while ago, because I'm always in quest of trying to get a better ride in my September 22 Model Y. I've got the turbine wheels with the the low profile tires. So it's a bit firm. I've spotted this guy who was putting replacing his tires with a wider profile to reduce the stretching effect that you get with the standard tires that come with turbine tires. Where the wall of the tires actually kicks in rather than being sort of proud of the rim.
Yep.
And he claimed that he was getting a better ride by having, I think he was just going about 10 or a centimetre wider with the tyres. Has anybody had any experience with trying that sort of thing, or no?
Not really. I mean, one thing, so you got Uber turbines.
Yeah.
So you got that was on the performance wise.
The black ones with the
you might.
They're not the Uber turbines.
Induction wheels.
Induction. That's it.
Sorry, you're right. Absolutely right. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no. So inductions. Look, I don't have any experience with it. The harshness or the firmness of the ride is very subjective. One example. What tire pressures do you run?
Well,
I'm running
42. I've tried running them at 42, but it is really firm. So I'm running at about 38.
Oh, okay, right.
And that's okay for me. But when my wife's trying to do a lipstick or something as we're driving along, the result is pretty messy.
Well, I have no experience putting lippy on in my car. I usually choose not to do that in the car.
Hey, mine's purely on observation rather than experience.
But I dare say anything in a moving vehicle is going to be a fraught process, because no matter how comfortable the vehicle, you're going to get a bump every now and then. But look, it's very subjective. I think if people have come out of some of the other luxury cars that are known for their really silky smooth ride, then Tesla is not one of those things. I don't see that.
I've heard the latest models got a comfort. What do they call it? A comfort suspension pack associated with it, and apparently it will retrofit to the earlier models, but Tesla won't sell you the parts.
That's the Model.
That's the
3?
Cheddar Model Y.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, actually, I do remember that. So I had the original Model Ys, the standard range Model Y.
Yeah, that's what I've got.
Rear-wheel drive.
I've now rear-wheel drive, and
Yeah.
I've now got for a year. Well, not quite a year. It's not quite a year old. I've got a performance Model Y, and those performance Model Ys, which came out in April last year for the first time, they have a revised suspension, and I think even though the performance Y would have a harder suspension because it's lowered, it's probably the ride is probably the same as I experienced on the rear-wheel drive. So yeah, I think you're right. I think if you have a current version Model Y, a new one, rear-wheel drive, it will be slightly more comfortable than the original batch. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
If you really want to get a change, I've got a performance Model Y, and rather than having the standard 21-inch wheels, I put 19s on it. So it's much higher profile, and it just gives you a lovely ride.
Yeah. I do regret going with those
Induction.
wheels.
Yep.
Yeah, induction wheels. But anyway, there you go. Yeah, well, that might be a way I go, Richard. Yep.
You'll get slightly more range with the Geminis as well.
Yeah, I know. Range doesn't really bother me that much. It's more, it's mostly a town car. So, okay. Thanks, guys. That was good.
No worries. Mark, you had your hand up before. Sorry about that. You're still with us? Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I was just going to make a comment about when you're talking about servicing and things like that, because I use my car for Uber, and a couple of things. When people are asking about the car, and they always do, 99% of my day is talking about Tesla cars.
Good.
Say, oh, what about servicing? And when I tell them I've only done wheel rotation and windscreen washer fluid, and I've done 52,000 kilometres in 8 months, they go very quiet for a minute or two, trying to work out whether that's actually right or not, what they heard is right. But I was going to ask, with the actual servicing, I saw somewhere about 2 years to change over aircon air filter, I think. But how does that relate to the number of Ks I do, for example?
It's the cabin filter, and it would relate to it, I suppose.
No, Pete. Mark was talking about the desiccant bag in the actual refrigerant system.
But that's not every 2 years. That's
6 years.
That's 6 years.
Oh, okay. I've mixed up my years then. Okay, all good.
Yeah. So yeah, you've got plenty of time.
Yeah, the cabin filters every 2 years, but I do it every year because Perth does.
Actually, the cabin filter on the Model Y is every 3 years now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because it's got the filter. Yeah. Ken, do you know with the 24 refresh or the 3 fresh, do you know if that's got a HEPA filter in it now?
He's gone.
He's gone.
Oh yeah, he's gone. He's not there.
Yeah,
Ken's left the
he's
building.
not there.
Anyone else?
Like Elvis.
Anyone else? You got a refresh Highland? No.
Don't know.
I'm holding out for the Cybertruck.
You must be the only one in the room.
Yes.
That's
As far as Leonie knows,
That's
I'm not
saying
getting
something,
one.
Pete. That's saying something. Yeah.
I got the Highland, and I believe it's just the normal filter. I think you got to pay for the HEPA filter.
Okay. Thanks.
Someone else.
And so that one's still every 2 years, I think. Then.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, every 2 years.
By the way, that's just the recommendation. With my first Model 3, it was a good 3.5, 4 years before I did mine. Yeah, so everyone's different, but yeah, when it starts to smell, it's ready to be changed. But yeah, 2 years is just a recommendation.
Yeah, and it's all relative because it's probably presuming you're doing an average 15,000 Ks a year or whatever. If you do more, I mean, Mark, you said you did 50 something thousand Ks in 8 months.
52,000 Ks in 8 months.
Yeah, right. I've done 96,000 Ks in 11 months.
Looks like I need to go for a drive around the country.
But you got to get someone to pay for it, mate.
Actually, Harold, you did 13,650 Ks in 10 days, right?
Yeah, that's right. So if I had an ICE car, in another couple more days, I would have had to have taken it in for a service, which would have been a bit upsetting. But things like filters, it's hard to tell because, if you do a lot of Ks in a short period of time, it's not like a cabin air filter's got time to be moist and warm as opposed to running sort of thing. So it's just really variable. Things like filters, you just do the smell test. If you're happy with what your aircon's doing, then there's no need to change it. And if you, on the contrary, if you are, smelling something or whatever, then yeah, by all means, get it, change it yourself or get Tesla to change it at a very reasonable price.
My Model Y, it's done about 80,000 kilometers now. And the 16,000 kilometers was done in the first 17 days on that lap around Australia with Harold. But I had the aircon running pretty much non-stop for the 17 days because I was either driving or charging. And when I was charging, I usually had it on to keep the charger cool. Or I was sleeping in the car. And I had camp mode on. So that thing pretty much ran non-stop for 17 days and didn't miss a beat, didn't skip a beat, and it's still going great now. 80,000 kilometers later.
I just looked this up. Tesla's newest Model 3 Highland finally includes a feature, HEPA filter.
Ah, there you go.
Oh, cool.
Very good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That would make sense because the front looks slightly smaller.
So in that case, you probably don't have to replace that one. The recommendation will probably be every 3 years now rather than every 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, something that's also going to be exciting, and it's not on Tesla's website yet, is the upcoming refreshed Model 3 performance, or should I call it
Ludicrous? Or
Ludicrous? Ludicrous, which apparently has sport mode, and it has chill, sport, and insane mode, which has been captured by some photos taken of the screen in the States. So
600 and something horsepower now.
Woo.
Yeah, it should be sub 2 sec. It should be sub 3 seconds.
Oh yeah.
So that is probably something. It would probably make sense if that came out early next month, because that's a new quarter. So it's probably going to be out next quarter.
That's going to cost
Ludicrous
Damo some money.
Model 3.
Damo,
I was
I'll
going
have
to say
to
that
trade.
one.
So Damo, eat your heart out. You know you cannot get the Plaid, but a Ludicrous 3 is pretty good. And
Hey, have you guys seen the photos of the seats in the Ludicrous? They were leaked a few days ago.
I don't have it handy, but you're gone.
Yeah, I was just wondering because there was rumours that it was going to be more of a sports bucket seat, which it looks like it is. But there was also talk about it having provisions for a proper racing harness, so the double seat belt. But I couldn't see that in the leaked photos. So
Yeah, I doubt. I don't even think the Roadster, maybe the Roadster did have provision for that, but
Did. 2 triangular holes.
yeah, I don't know, Pete.
Actually, now that I think about it, it had a Ludicrous decal, sort of 3/4 of the way up. So
Yep.
maybe you can pry that out, and that maybe exposes the openings for the harness.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. Absolutely. And look, that's going to be it's going to be the fastest car that we can get in Australia, basically.
Well, what's
Because-
insane, no pun intended, but what's insane is that in the US, that car will retail for less than the cost of an average car in America. So for the cost of less than the cost of an average car, you can have a sub 3 second, insane
Rocket
sport.
ship.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. One that Mel Brooks would be proud of.
Yeah, sorry, that's after the 7,500 and after
Incentives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. So yeah, so that's something to look forward to for those interested in a performance or a Ludicrous Model 3, probably being orderable next month at a rough guess. Because you can tell from what Tesla's doing, they're really not hiding this anymore. It's pretty clear what they're doing, and there's a clear path to it being released. And it'll undoubtedly be released in Shanghai as well as in America. Bearing in mind, there was a little bit of unideal news from Tesla saying that the Shanghai Gigafactory will be reducing its days of operations, I think, from 6.5 days to 5 or something like that. So they are reducing production incrementally, basically as a result of high interest rates, and overall car sales are not as healthy as they otherwise would be in a different economic environment. And as you know, that might sound a bit depressing, but actually the fact is it's actually healthy for Tesla, because whenever there's a downturn, it's the healthy companies that do the best. And what it really does is it sorts out the wheat from the chaff. And you know, we've heard of the demise of Fisker. Lucid's fine. It'll just get another $1 billion of funds injected into it. Yeah, from Saudi wealth funds and all that sort of stuff. And you know, Rivian themselves, they're sort of struggling. You know, they've got, I think, $10 billion of accumulated losses, which is what Tesla maxed out at before it turned around. But again, Rivian is supported by Amazon, and you know, I think they're buying 100,000 electric delivery vans. So Rivian's going to be perfectly okay for the time being. But yeah, I think BYD announced that they had reduced growth. So, the other thing too is I saw on a Stephen Mark Ryan video, and you've got to have a certain ear to listen to those videos. They are certainly entertaining, but they do have a language warning associated to them. But he did rightly say that, you know, in the coming years, the rate of EV sales growth will by necessity be declining, because when you travel up an S-curve, the initial really low turnover, they have huge growths of like in excess of 100% per annum, because you're starting from such a low base. But by definition, once you've got, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50% of the market, you can't keep growing at double-digit rates, because otherwise, you know, you'll make 1 billion cars a year when the whole world's market is only 100 million. So you can't have exponential growth forever. And by definition, as you grow, you have to reduce your incremental percentage growth to a sustainable level.
Your rate of growth will subside, but still, if you look at Norway as being any sort of guide, I mean, they went from being around 40, 50% to 80, 90% within a couple of years. So yeah, it's a lower rate of growth, but it's still, volume-wise, it's massive. But percentage-wise, yes, it's a little bit
That's right. So you could say, well, if 90% of all sales of vehicles are electric, then if that became 100%, that would only require a 10% growth in sales. And that could be interpreted as, well, you know, it used to be 100% a couple of years ago, and what's going on? And 4 years ago, it used to be 300%. EVs is a lost cause. It's not a growth story. And it's like, well, that's because we've got 100% of the market. So every single new car that's being sold will be an EV.
Yep.
You know, so that's where some naysayers they sort of misuse facts or numbers to misrepresent what's actually going on.
Cherry pick stats out of context to suit their agenda.
Yeah, which is exactly what Toyota did some weeks ago when they hoodwinked the government into watering down their emission standards and cherry-picked numbers. All right, anyone got any other questions or comments?
I've got a comment, but I don't know how many members talk we have at the moment, because my thing is insurance is going. Well, I think we need insurance, but that minefield in itself. But I think it could be worth, I don't know, looking at. I think it's a field where it's getting out of control, and it would take something like Tocqueville, you know, a specialist organisation.
Yeah, we've made representations. I mean, yeah, I feel your pain, because I know someone, actually, it's Russell, and Russell will be watching this. he actually shared with me that, you know, his insurance went through the roof. It went up 25%. You know, you get your first year discount, and then you go bang, you know, up the ladder. So the only thing worse than having the RAC jack up prices would be if we lived in the eastern seaboard, where even what we would call quite high prices is cheap to them.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't really make us feel that much better, really, and I guess nor should it. But yeah, I guess, look, let's hope that Tesla insurance comes here eventually, and well, let's hope that that's actually a good price. I know in America it is, but then I think in America insurance, and in Europe it's hellishly expensive.
Oh, it is excessive over. I had the same even with the Commodore, but I found them just so difficult to deal with. And you get, when you come to pay, it's $30, and that you can't talk to them. You can't, if you go back the next day, everything's different. Until you get one guy I got exceptionally good, but he is the exception. But I just think, I don't know what you would need to be viable, but it's a lot, and the figures you're dealing with are quite staggering at times. I guess just to get into it would be a staggering expense.
Yeah, I think the problem is, you know, we could try and approach an insurance company and say, hey, can you do us a deal as club members? The problem is they know instinctively that insurance is it's a grudge purchase. It's something that, unless you really are at leave of your senses, is something that you have to have. And it's kind of a seller's market, because in essence we are all price takers, you know. And I mean, I don't know if they cross insure, like, you know, I'm sure there are certain divisions, you know, whether it be the car division or the house division or the commercial division, some of those divisions might be less profitable than others. And I mean, I don't know how insurance works, to be perfectly honest, but, you know, unfortunately it seems there's no one out there offering a screaming bargain, and insurance is pretty flat. And I guess except for the RAC, you know, basically offering the 25% discount in the first year, if you shop around, they're all pretty much of a muchness. You know, I think so some of us have gone to Budget Direct for our second-hand cars, as in second-hand Teslas, and they've got a slightly better deal, but it's only a couple of $100 here and there. It's very marginal. And
I think they must be. Oh, sorry. They must be putting their losses in, like for the floods and bushfires, into. I think they're putting it across the board, going by what's happened with the prices, because it's staggering at the moment. Not that I've heard yet, but.
I think that's plausible. I think that is definitely plausible that they would be cross subsidizing, or leveling out their profitability, basically. You know,
Harold, I would argue there is another option, which is some people choose to self-insure, because the way they look at it is, if you're paying $1,000 a year, then if you think that you're unlikely to have an accident more often than once every 10 years, a serious accident or write-off, then, you know, that's $10,000 over 10 years. So, you know, if you're paying $1,500, that's $15,000. If you're paying $2,000 a year, that's $20,000 right there. So some people, you know, and if you did that over a 30 or a 40-year period, there's, you know, there's the cost of the car, you know, paid for. So
I don't have that many years left.
The other thing, Peter, is that I mean, it's the same. It's the whole reason why insurance started with Lloyd's of London was, the chance of your ship sinking was pretty low, but the consequences of it sinking the day after you board it is pretty dire. And you're right. Look, if you've got a fleet of cars, and you could lay it off, like going by your theory, this is not a suggestion, but at a minimum, what you would do if you wanted to do that sort of plan was just take out third-party insurance. So then it doesn't matter if for whatever reason you binned it into a Ferrari or another Tesla, dare I say,
Absolutely.
or an expensive car, that's covered, and then you are just insuring then you are self-insuring yourself against the damage to your car. So
and all those figures, you're assuming that the insurance premiums stay level, that they don't go up over a 10 or a 20-year period. So, pretty likely that in 10 years' time, your insurance premiums will be double, if not more. So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, we know hire companies, they self-insure because they're big enough. I don't know what you have to get an actuary to work it out, but there would be a certain critical mass of cars where you could argue that it is worthwhile self-insuring. But with the exception of yourself, Pete, none of us have large Tesla fleets.
I don't have a large Tesla fleet either, but one grudge that I do have against RAC in particular. So if you rent your car out or share your car for profit, or not for profit, for money. So if someone gives you $1 to borrow your car for 10 minutes in January, and your policy ends in December, and in December you happen to have a crash in the car while you were driving it, your policy is null and void. It's the most extreme, the most hardcore clause of any other insurer, and why it's so aggressive, I don't understand. Most other insurers are happy to insure you as long as you are the one while the car is in your possession, and when it's being rented out, it's not insured, and then you've got to have your own rental insurance. So most companies are happy to do that, but RAC and a few others. RAC by far has the most aggressive carve out, and it's a little known clause that even some of the people working at RAC don't actually know about. But when it comes to making a claim, you could get surprised.
In a rather bad way, because that means that like you say, you took out a policy on January 1, and on January 2, you rented the car out. That means for the rest of that calendar year, you are uninsured completely.
Yep.
And they don't tell you that. Well, they tell you in their terms and conditions, but they're still happy to have your premium. Although I guess if you rang them and said, "Oh, by the way, just letting you know, I hired the car on the second day of my policy," then the RAC ought to do the right thing and refund your pro rata policy immediately.
That's a good joke, Harold. I like that one. That's great. It's funny.
Easier said than done. I know Amy Insurance, they've got another funny clause, which is if the car is in a company name, and you share it out, the insurance is null and void. So so they're happy for you to rent your car out. They won't cover it while it's rented out. They will cover it while you are driving it, as long as the car's registered in natural person's name. So if it's in a company, and once again, it's just a little line in the PDS, that in the product disclosure statement, that most people working at AAMI don't even know about. And
and yet they electronically know who the car is registered to, because you enter in your number plate, and I think you actually enter in the insured person, and that can be a company. But
well, if it's insured in a company name, it goes in the company field. You don't put it in the surname field. So they know straight away, and they should. As soon as they see it coming up as a company car, they should send you an email. They should let you know of that clause, but they don't. like you said, they're happy to take the premiums, and then when it comes to a claim, they'll be more than
They'll
willing
adjust
to.
the loss to 0.
Yep, exactly.
That's applicable to all of them, not just RAC. Yeah, they love taking the premium. I don't like the risk that goes with it.
Indeed.
But I guess that's why they're insurance companies. They've got to put together so numbers, the percentages of accidents generally play fairly stable throughout each. How they can afford to. That's why I think. I don't know what size top have to be to go down. It would be pretty big, I would think.
Yeah, we'd probably have to be the size of the Belgium club, which is, I think they got 12,000 members, something like that.
Well, we've got about half that many just on the Facebook page.
Yes. Yeah. But we need to convert those to financial members. Oh, which reminds me, if you are a financial member and you are interested in taking your car to Tokwa's track day in a few weeks, it's I forget which date it is in April because I won't be there, so I didn't really pay a lot of attention. I think it's Pete.
I'm just having a look. Sorry.
It is on the 20th of April, Saturday the 20th of April. And I can report that I think as of a couple of hours ago, there were 4 tickets left. Yes, there are 4 tickets left. So please do book. If you're a financial member, you would have gotten an email from me or from the secretary, me. Actually, you would have also got an email if you're not a financial member or a lapsed financial member, should I say. And the thing to note there is anyone that orders a ticket, I will personally check that member is financial. So we did have a gentleman that did have a booking and he wasn't aware that his membership had lapsed. So then he dutifully renewed. So the track day on the 20th of April is $80. And it's on Grogan Road at the what used to be the RAC Driver Centre. I think it's now called something. It is called the Driver Risk Management. DRM. Driver Risk Management at 16 Grogan Road at Perth Airport.
You reckon I could bring a baby that's probably going to be like 3 days old? Do you think Emma would be okay with that?
Trick is, hopefully the baby was born the day before. Then you can have lunch. Like I'll be back, like you're visiting a hospital, but it's sort of like sleepy time or whatever, mum and bub quality time. And then you just sneak out to the airport. What could possibly?
I'm sure that there could be no problems. It would be a fitting end for my very much needing changing out 21-inch low profile tyres. But
that's why they call it risk management, brother.
And it's funny you say that, Richard, because I've got 4 ruined tyres on my Performance Y, and that would have been perfect. But unfortunately, I'll be driving around in a non-Performance Y in the UK in probably slipperier conditions. But
what date is this?
It's the 20th of April.
What day?
Do it, when you'll have a ball.
Did you say date or day, Carmen? Day, Saturday.
Oh,
Saturday.
I'm open. Otherwise, I'd take care of the baby.
Legend.
that would be totally cool too. Dearie me. So there are only 4 tickets. So if you're interested, don't miss out. If you haven't got an email or you don't know what it's about, just send an email to secretary@tokwa.org.au and I'll flick you those details.
I may have recently driven an electric converted Hilux at the Driver of Risk Management facility in the last few weeks.
Well, to whatever extent that your subject may or may not be subject to an NDA or not, feel free to share or not. What are your thoughts of it?
No, I think I can. It's not really too much of a secret now.
Yeah, just the thoughts. What was it like to drive? So this is a Hilux, right? So it's converted.
Yeah,
so it's a
converted Hilux. Brilliant. They dialed down the power, like like how obviously we put our feet down, foot down in the Teslas and they just take off. This was deliberately designed to be progressive, so I'd say probably less quick off the mark than a traditional Hilux would be if you were really gunning it, but that's intentional because they didn't want to scare people with aggressive acceleration or aggressive regen actually. Yeah, but no, it was great. It was how a Hilux should be. Every time I get in like a brand new Hilux up on site, I cry because I'm like, this would be so much better if it was if it was electric. But no, it was brilliant. They've done a great job. The one I had, there was the prototype, I still had a little bit of finishing, so I still needed to put a bit of protective covering around HV wiring. But no, it was great. It was, we took it on the 4-wheel drive track. And yeah, I had a great time blasting that around. So it's got a composite tray to keep the weight down. And I think the production, what they're classing as production models are probably, I think they said they were going to get another couple of 100 kilos off. I think it was 2.8 tons, and I think they're aiming for 2.6 GVM upgrade. But no, brilliant thing.
It must be an expensive little exercise, wouldn't it? It'd surely be quicker. It's great.
Sorry, you're cutting up a bit there, mate. What was the question?
I was just wondering the cost. It must be quite excessive.
Yeah, not cheap. I probably can't say what the cost is, but
yeah, fair enough.
But no, it's
Did they share?
They say Teslas are expensive, but
did Mevco share, or is it publicly knowable whether they get sliders from Toyota, or do they actually just get an unmodified Hilux and they've got to basically rip out the donk and then do all their own stuff and presumably recover costs?
They get a modified Hilux from Toyota. So the drivetrains are from SEA Electric. So they've made the drivetrains and all the power electronics, and then Mevco are essentially the assembler, and then they give warranty and support, and so you buy it from them, and then they look after you, and I guess they would reach out to SEA Electric for any nuances of any equipment issues with the drivetrain. But no, it's brilliant. I mean, look, you still got high 2-wheel drive, high 4-wheel drive, and low 4-wheel drive switch. All that transfer case is all still the same. So that was very it's intuitive. It was a little bit weird just to get used to like the way that they've kind of had to rig the putting it in drive. Like it wouldn't. I'm used to obviously getting in the Teslas and then knocking them into drive, and that's it. I think there was another step in there, I think. So, but no, it was what a Ute should be.
Looks like you've got buttons. Looks like you've got push buttons there, Richard.
Yeah, that one looks like one of the ones for GB Auto. I think I saw on the plates, but
hey, Richard, are we getting them?
Hello, mate.
Can I just jump in just quickly because I'm at work? I really can't stay. I was just wondering, Harold, is there a link or any info anywhere for the track day, like the rules and just what to wear and everything?
Well, if you've booked, you're going to get some email correspondence soon, so we'll send that up. We'll update you with that, Damo.
So, thank you.
Damo, just the usual closed-in shoes and helmet, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. All right. Good night, everyone.
Cool. No worries. See you, Damo.
I'll let you know if we're going for it.
We don't want an open forum on company discussions or whatever, but
Great.
but no, it's cool. I mean, it wouldn't be hard for Toyota just to put their own drivetrain through, eh? But anyway,
Yeah.
it's that's cool, Richard. So so the Hilux, and that's obviously 4x4. So as opposed to the is it the LDV that two-wheel drive?
Yeah, I mean that was also a retrofit, but yeah, that's only two-wheel drive, and geez, I think they've only sold about 70 or 80 units because I was speaking to them in the early stages and had pre-Australia launch pricing and all that, but it was not compelling. On the second-hand market, if they come up in like the 40,000 range, I think that would be a great to snap one up. I did see one came up for 60, and that was snapped up pretty quick. But yeah, it's geez, that thing should be 50 grand new, really. So
absolutely.
But yeah, the Hilux was brilliant.
Well, something that there's another. It's not Mevco, but let's call it. John Edwards and Co. has basically modified a Mitsubishi Canter Fuso or Fuso Canter truck to, it's now got a Model S motor in it and a Model 3 long-range battery pack, and he's refitted the tray to it, and he's getting it engineered and run over the pits tomorrow, I think, or it's going to be completely finalized over the next few days. And
apparently it spins the wheels like
it gets wheel spin. It gets absolute wheel spin in the back very easily, very, very easily. So I'm begging John to take it to Kwinana Raceway, because I'd love to see that go over the quarter mile with full-on wheel spin. Dearie me.
Speaking of trucks or vans, there's a rumor that Tesla's speaking to the Italian government about building semis or vans, interestingly, in Italy.
Yes, and that was after Elon Musk was quoted as saying that it would make sense for Tesla to build the Tesla Semi in Berlin. Not that meant that he said they would be, he just said it would make sense. So yeah, it's interesting. There's lots of rumors, and of course when I go to sort of do the news, I sort of filter out stuff that's not firm, because we've heard lots of Indonesian rumors. We continue to hear the Indian rumor and the Spanish one.
In South Korea.
Yes, and others, but it's certainly interesting. Look, it makes Tesla will eventually have to diversify. Well, not have to. It will have a model in every segment. So whether it's your last mile van, whether it's
the only one it's missing from its master plan is the van. So
the van's in there, isn't it? I thought the van was in the master plan.
No, it was in the master plan. They had a van in the master plan.
It might. Yeah, and it was in the Investor Day or something. Or was it the battery? Was it the battery?
Yeah, there was
day?
There was a cover over it.
Yes.
Over a car, which looked like a van.
Looked like a transit van or something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Alrighty, well, we're into our dying last few minutes of the show. So if you've got any last talking points, I mean, Carmen, obviously, Tesla shares aren't that great at the moment, share price. However, Cathie Woods is doing a Warren Buffett, and basically whenever the Tesla's price comes off, she buys, and whenever it goes up, she sort of sells down a bit. So I guess Cathie's.
You're saying there's hope?
Oh no! Look, there's absolutely much more than hope. And just before I say what that is, let's just do this.
The following segment is general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listeners should seek their own independent assessment from a qualified advisor and not rely on the general nature of information in this program.
So if we ignored Tesla's car business, which is at the moment what everyone presumes it is, and just imagine that just, I don't know, went nowhere, just did what it's doing now and nothing else. And of course, it's not going to do that. But if we just ignored it, one of the bigger growth stories is the battery storage, energy storage, and grid level energy storage, for which, in fact, it's not the West Australian government, but it's Neoen is buying, I think it's a gigawatt hour, or is it 2 gigawatt hours of storage that will actually be going near Collie, near Synergy's CATL. I think it's CATL, or
It is
yeah,
CATL.
I think it's CATL, and they're basically installing roughly 1 or 2 gigawatt hours of storage as well. The level of growth of energy storage, which is required for renewable energy production, well, to store it somewhere, and stability, that market will make the car market look like a rounding error. So it will be bigger than Tesla's car business. And then if we're talking about hope, we need to talk about the Optimus robot, which most analysts, they don't even though they're bullish on it, they legitimately refuse to actually put a valuation, firstly because the total addressable market is the entire working no, that's not quite true. Not the entire working population, the entire manual working population of the earth doing manual labor. That is technically the total addressable market. And that is something that Tesla is almost born to do properly, because they've got the neural networks, they've got the FSD computer, which after all is just a computer on wheels, and Optimus is just a computer on legs. And that market is just, again, that'll make the energy market look like a rounding error. So you only have to have a few of these pieces of the puzzle.
Don't forget, you're forgetting about FSD.
And FSD with software as a service level profitability. So
And AI, don't forget about the AI.
and the AI. So, well, it all meshes together.
And
And
sell your shares.
what it does is, if any one of these businesses does really well, then the share price will be okay. If most of them do okay, the price will in time, and its time in the market will go through the roof. And I did note, I haven't got the graph handy, but Stephen Mark Ryan noted that if you bought Microsoft at the very top of the .com boom, just before it busted, and in fact just after it busted, it went down 40%, sort of very quickly. If you'd bought it back at the .com top boom in about the year 2000 or 1999, and you sold it today, I forget how many 1,000% it went up, or 600%, or it was more than that. It was lots. So it's someone like Stephen Mark Ryan would rightly say his brain isn't smart enough to work out when to buy and sell and trade, sentiment and all that sort of stuff. He just buys and holds. And Tesla is unique because most of the time no one should ever have one share as their only investment, because you ought to diversify. But Tesla is a little bit unique because by definition they are a highly diversified, extremely vertically integrated company. So they're making all the profit margins that all of the tier one suppliers and all of those subcontractors would ordinarily make. They're keeping to themselves, but they're highly diversified. They're a car company, they're an energy company, they're an energy storage business, they're an AI company, and they're a robotics company. And any one of those, all of those industries are growth industries at the start of an exponential growth. So
there's no doubt. Anyway, Kathy Wood needs to focus on her own. Arc Genomics is not done terribly well either.
yes, yeah, exactly. So, and the problem with ARK Invest is, and all of these investment companies, is by definition they need to show progress, and the way they try and do that is to beat the market. So, the laziest thing to do is just invest as many people say, in the S&P 500, or for us it'd be the ASX
Mm.
200 or whatever. And that's the simplest way of making money on a exponential growth level in time, or a geometric growth level in time. The investors always have to try and have a key performance indicator of, did they beat the market? And on average, they actually often don't, on average. And if all you had done was bought an investment and just held on to it for 20 years, you'd be better off. But
Yes. Yeah.
anyway, hey, we're getting towards, and I'm
A
getting
bit
nervous
like real estate. Can I ask the
Yes.
gurus a quick question? If I were to move, I'm selling my house. If I were to move to a place that hasn't got a car charger, and I buy one, do I need to have 3-phase?
No, you can have single phase. And in fact, if at worst comes to worst, and if it's a strata company or whatever, and they don't let you do, proper power, even if you had just a 10 amp power point
Yes.
hooked up to a meter, that would be okay, because you would gain at least 120, 130 kilometers of range overnight every night. So it's totally
Okay.
fine. Even the
Okay.
smallest power source would be more than enough.
And
for most.
what about getting 15 amp?
No problem. So 15 amps, the same as 10 amps. It's just a slightly bigger circuit breaker and fatter cable. And you go to the strata company and say, I will pay to have it all installed with its own meter. If it's not possible to have it come off your actual circuit, just say you have a little meter, which they can read occasionally and then charge you money for or whatever. So absolutely do that.
That's
So
if they let you. Some of these companies
if they let you. And we've got to go in.
I'm not, at this stage, I may not go into strata. My sister has a townhouse that is green title. So I may just go there.
Well, if you've got a garage, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You can just
It's
you
not
can
a
just use
garage, just a carport. But,
Oh, carport's fine as long as there's a power point or a power
Yeah.
source. It'll be totally fine. Now, unfortunately, we're getting hard up against the program and against the clock, and I unfortunately didn't run a timer, but we're getting awfully close.
Okay.
So I think we might go and ask Pete as if he didn't already know, and we didn't already know. Sorry, 2 seconds. I just got to get something ready. Pete, how would you end an awesome show like this?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Have a wonderful week, everyone, and really look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Ask Us Anything.
And happy
Good night,
Easter.
everyone. Oh, and happy Easter. Yes, happy Easter.
See you guys.
Good night.
Bye.